Grow, Sell, and Retire is the podcast for the lazy overachiever. B.D. Dalton, author of True Gravity and Grow, Sell, and Retire, is here to give you his 25 years of secrets, tips, and systems to take your business to the next level. This is your chance to find out what is working in sales, marketing, and running your business. If you stop learning, you stop burning. Now, here's your host, BD, with today's GSR podcast.
Hello, Grow, Sell, and Retire listeners. This is BD Dalton bringing you an interview with Sinmon Berry. This guy is a blockchain man. He's a Snapchat guy. He is out there making things happen in the tech industry. He's an investor. He's a coach. He's all these different types of things. But I brought him on here because I want him to start telling us about cryptocurrency, technology around blockchain, and we're going to walk through what the heck it all means, how it all comes back together, and how you can work with it in your business. We're going to be looking at this a lot. In October, we're running Disruption 2018, talking about how you can bring all these technologies into your business. But today is my interview with the man, the blockchain dude, the Snapchat follower, and the Snapchat leader. And let's make sure that you pay attention to this. Listen to this, because I've heard so many people talk about blockchain, about cryptocurrency, about all these different things. They don't know what it means. Simon's going to run through it with us today. He's going to make sure that we understand a little bit more, because I want to make you a lazy overachiever, that person that gets there without having to work as hard as everybody else, so that you can use your efforts to then run past them. So hopefully you'll enjoy this. Sit back, take notes, and listen to my interview with Sinmon Berry. Hey, Sinmon Berry, welcome to the Grow, Sell, and Retire podcast. Thanks for coming on the show.
It is my absolute pleasure to be here, and I'm very excited for the discussion we're going to have today.
No, that'll be great. So tell, when did you first start thinking about crypto and blockchain and all this? We'll go into in-depth, but when did you first think that it was going to be a thing for you?
Well, actually, I came across it really early and thought it was going to be a complete fad. So I scaled back. But it was probably about 2 years ago that I really started to get serious into the technology behind it. And then I started to get very excited about the future, which is really cool.
Very cool. And so where was the first place that you went and saw it, and you went from fad to fact?
It was actually, interestingly, an online WhatsApp group where people started to basically talk about it and show their enthusiasm for it. And when people you know and trust and respect start to show their enthusiasm for an awesome, exciting project, it can't help rub off in you, and you start to learn a bit more about it. I mean, my background is fintech. So I've come from this very straight-laced kind of, things need to work in a certain way. And, crypto's a bit like the Wild West. So I was a bit skeptical to start off with. But now I know a lot more, and I'm a bit more excited about it. I can see the future, and I can see that things are going to radically change for the future. Radically.
It's going to be interesting when everybody starts dipping their toe into it. They're just trying to see if it works and does all this.
It's becoming more mainstream now. You're seeing it on the news. I mean, my grandma the other day was asking me what the price of Bitcoin was, which just shows you it's kind of reached the mainstream now, which is crazy.
It is. So then me being a financial advisor and working in the legal space and everything else, really, where do you see the line being drawn? Because it is still kind of the wild, wild west. Where's the line between an investment and an actual currency? Because Bitcoin, I mean, anything that goes double in a 3-month period sometimes, and then goes back down in half,
Absolutely.
That's more of an investment or a risky bet versus something that we're talking about, and you'll kind of go into in depth, that's actually a currency and something that people will use. Because if I was going to go buy a car tomorrow and it would be 3 Bitcoins, and then the next day it's 7 Bitcoins, that doesn't work. So
no.
When does it go from being an investment to actually being a viable vehicle as a currency for somebody?
Well, absolutely. I mean, you've hit the nail on the head there. It needs to have proper value behind it. And what happens at the moment, it's almost like gambling, right? You can invest £100 in it, and then it may be £400 in 2 days' time, and then it'll go down to £50. So at the moment, it's not really reliable enough as a currency or a security to really give people that kind of faith in it. But absolutely, in terms of the technology and what people are doing with it, then there's a lot of value with how people are implementing the technology. People kind of think about the currency on top, which is something entirely different. And until that stabilizes out, and there's certainly signs today that there's some longevity in it. People are charting this thing, and there's thresholds, and it's breaking through barriers and things like that. So there are definite signs that, in terms of trends and being able to predict what goes on, and also being able to use this as a legitimate currency, there's certain signs that are beginning to emerge that this has some long-term future as something viable. But at the moment, it's still, even though it's been going for a few years, it's still very, very early days.
Cool. Okay. So let's now demystify it for people that do this. So let's start off. We won't even go into Bitcoin now. So walk us through what is considered a cryptocurrency, or if you were to put in layman's terms, what is a cryptocurrency?
Okay, so a cryptocurrency is essentially crypto, which is a digital currency, which is built on top of the blockchain. We'll come on to blockchain in a minute, but it's essentially a digital currency which has an intrinsic value. So there can be many. There are websites out there where you can make them in 2 clicks, and you could essentially make your own coin. There could be a BD coin or a Sinmon coin, and you can assign whatever value, whatever utility you want. So there are coins out there that are about your security or your identity. There are coins out there that people are essentially using to invest in their own companies, buy a portion of my coin, which is almost like buying a share in a company. And there are coins out there where people are doing silly things. There's Dogecoin, which is almost done as an internet meme joke, which oddly enough is doing quite well these days. So it's essentially a digital currency designed to mimic a real currency built on top of the blockchain technology.
Okay, so we've got a cryptocurrency. So give us three of the top ones. So if we went past Bitcoin, then we went down to the next 2 or 3 names that people should pay attention.
Yeah, so the big ones, people, is Ethereum, which people actually use a lot of the smart contracts for, because that's actually been built into it. So smart contracts, think of a legal contract. So if you're swapping information, there is certain information that gets passed, and Ethereum has been built with that in mind.
Okay.
There's Litecoin as well, which is used as a bit more of a payment gateway, and there's a bit of a segue between Bitcoin and people trying to hark back to the original Satoshi way of his original white paper, the mysterious Satoshi, who we don't know who he is, where people have gone, we don't like where Bitcoin's going now. So we're going to make this new thing called Bitcoin Cash, which goes back to originally how it's supposed to be used, which is a bit more utopian and a bit more disruptive. So there's a bit of an ideological battle at the moment, but there's many more. If you go to a website called coinmarketcap.com,
coinmarketcap.com, I'll put these in the show notes.
Hundreds of the things, yeah. And you'll be amazed at the values of these things, and they range in total market cap. In other words, the amount of money sloshing around within this industry ranges from anything from 500 billion to about 700 billion. So there's a lot of money in this market at the moment.
Cool. So now we've got this cryptocurrency sat on the top of this amazing thing called blockchain. What is blockchain?
Now, this blockchain is a thing that excites me more than anything else. So when I started to get into this, it wasn't the currencies. I think that they're interesting, but blockchain is absolutely revolutionary. So originally it was designed to kind of mimic how things were mined. If you were to mine gold, you would have to go and dig it up. So the blockchain would be a way of essentially going through computer algorithms which were distributed, which is why people mine, as it were. They have very powerful computers that solve the algorithm. What they basically do is they solve the numbers to verify the purchases. Okay. And once they solve those purchases, essentially they get to solving the blockchain. It's essentially a chain. They have to go through everything that's important. So it's distributed. So if you were to put your data on the blockchain, it's a bit like having your data on a Dropbox or something, and there's little bits of it everywhere. The interesting part is it's secure. So if it were a transaction between you and me, only you and me would know the contents of that transaction.
Okay, so it did really.
If any of it changed, you and I would know instantly. So if I sold you 5 Bitcoin, We would know the value and the amount of what happened in there. I would know whether you received it or what you've done with it. It's absolutely perfect. But it doesn't have to be transactions. People liken it to a distributed ledger. In your sales ledger, you'd have a piece of paper. You'd write, I sold 10 Bitcoin to BD from Simon at this date at this time. Right now, this information is stored in the cloud, in the blockchain, as it were, but it doesn't have to be sales information. It can be, think about it can be legal information. If you've got a legal contract with someone, that contract is secure because the sender and receiver have the information and nobody else has. It's secure. So think about this. You can have medical records, you can have military data, you can have shipping information. Once you start to think about it, any company that has secure private information that may be their own personal information or maybe users' information can actually take advantage of the blockchain. You don't have to run it on the blockchain because you can run it on Ethereum or Bitcoins. You can actually download and do your own and actually have your own blockchain. So there's lots of iterations of this, but essentially the way of doing this is very exciting because you can essentially get rid of all your servers and you can have encrypted secure information that could be sitting in the cloud that your customers and you can take advantage of. And it's very, very exciting for companies that deal with information.
Wow. And so what type of companies, and you talked about legal contracts, you talked about, me buying something from you, things like that. Who's the most innovative right now of a big name that we see out there that would be using blockchain for something we might not think about, like a McDonald's or a Starbucks? I know.
So,
but
a good one. Well, oddly enough, I think, Burger King has come up with a Whopper coin, which is quite interesting, where you can actually use your own coins or their coins to buy Whoppers. But IBM is really investing a lot of money into this technology. They've got their own blockchain, and you're able to store the information you'd normally store in a server into the blockchain. And think of how many customers use data and use IBM servers. They've really gone full in on this. You can obviously go to the other bigger companies such as your JP Morgans or your big Swiss banks, things like that. Big investment banks are investing heavily. Stock exchanges, Nasdaq is launching a crypto stock exchange. London Stock Exchange is looking at all the big stock exchanges are looking at this data and as a new way, maybe new markets, but also a way of taking their markets today and making them a lot more secure. So finance is an obvious one. Burgers are a not so obvious one, but you'll find applications everywhere. There's a company that uses it for shipping, where as soon as the shipping container reaches the destination, then a smart contract is completed and the money is wired instantly. Before, you'd have lawyers, you'd have customs, you'd have all sorts of people, accountants doing all this information. Now the information's instant, and for a business that needs cash flow, that is an absolute boon. So it is actually revolutionizing how lots of industries work. And then anytime there's any transaction or any type of information or data exchange, then the blockchain can actually provide some security first and foremost, but actually make things a lot more seamless and a lot quicker.
That's very cool. Okay, let's rewind here for a minute. When I first met you at the Business Book Awards, I was told that you hosted, and let's go back to technology, to Snapchat.
Yes.
So walk me through your Snapchat Live, huge numbers of people staring at Snapchat, and what was it for you, and why did it happen, and how did it all come about?
Well, I got into Snapchat because I'm not a youngster. Clearly, it is mainly a youth-driven thing. But I was into social media. I could see the rise of social video and how important that was. I think the stat is on Facebook, 2% of content on Facebook is video, which generates 80% of the engagement. So it's very clear that people, when they look in the whites of your eyes and when they see you, then there's a human connection there. So Snapchat was very popular, and I got onto Snapchat very early. And because it's got that kind of easy social sharing, short 10-second videos, I started messaging people and chatting to people. Before I knew it, I was chatting to some of the biggest and best Snapchat influencers in the world, which was fantastic. And a few of us decided to put on the world's first and the world's only Snapchat conference plus award ceremony. So we did this 2 years ago. It was called Snap Happen. And what we did is we flew in all the best Snapchatters / social media superstars in the world. over for a conference. We had the BBC, we had ITV, we had RTE, we were on radio, we were on TV, we had Dynamo turn up. We had talks about how to implement this technology, how to reach out to people, how to really connect to people using social video, which is what it was all about. And then we had something awesome, which was the first ever Snapchat awards, which we called the Ghosties, is the ghost, the kind of Pac-Man ghost is the logo. And we went off to a beautiful hotel in central London and presented the awards and partied the night away. And it was an awesome, unforgettable event, which really put social video and Snapchat on the map. You can see the kind of Snapchat story star format, which is using lots of visual storytelling and really connecting with people on an individual level. It's been taken by Facebook. You've got it on Instagram. Even WhatsApp's doing it. This kind of way of telling stories rather than, images and posts and things like this. You just being very honest and, pointing a camera at your face. It is really very visceral and very real. And I think people like that. I think people are getting bored of the packaged and managed, very unreal advertisements out there. If you can connect with a real person and get to know them, I think that makes a huge difference. And Snapchat's been a huge part of that.
So how much has it changed in the last 2 years then? I mean, since that was 2 years ago, how much? It
was 2 years ago. Absolutely. I mean, Snapchat's doing okay. It's floated on the stock exchange. It's got these funky glasses that have come out. It's kind of had market share taken away because Instagram's so big and Instagram kind of does a Snapchat alike. So a lot of people in terms of being an influence on there have moved over to Instagram. But Snapchat's fighting back. This week, for example, they've invited a lot of creators over to meet the Snapchat community. So they're growing, and competition is a healthy and great thing. As features get added to Snapchat, Instagram will add more features, Facebook will add more features, other services will come out with things, and we've seen Musical.ly rise as well. So it's great for creators like myself who actually go out there and create content, because it allows us to connect with different audiences. These days, there's not just one platform. Yes. Facebook is, connects with a certain type of people. You're not going to be the same on LinkedIn because that connects with a business type of people. There's a certain demographic and type of people that go on Instagram. Same with Snapchat, mainly under 25s, but you'll find a big age range on there. There's more people on Snapchat than there is on Twitter. So wow. Twitter will say, well, you kind of, clearly if you're after those under 25 demographics, you should be on Snapchat. So you have to understand if you're a business or you're trying to advertise or you're trying to work with creators, go to where those people are. If you're trying to plug away and trying to get to the under 25s on LinkedIn, it's not going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Conversely, if you're trying to hit a business audience on Snapchat, it's probably not the best forum for you. And the beauty of these social networks are that they're there and they're fairly niche, and you can find your audience, you can find your tribes by doing it. But certainly video is very, very powerful and a very important way to connect with people.
Very cool. Okay, let's go back to crypto now, and let's talk about this. So, if you were counseling somebody and they were starting to look at this and thinking, you know what, I think that I need to start learning more about it. Where do people need to start?
Okay, so there's great tutorials on YouTube.
Okay.
There's lots of information you can read in terms of how it works and things like that. The best advice people that do, you can learn about their technology and what's behind it. Actually, it's very easy to learn how to program it because it's fairly simple. And I'm not a programmer myself, but you can start to implement it. In terms of investing, you find a lot of people do the same thing. There's an app. What's it called? Coinbase, which you can download on your iPhone or Android device. You can invest in 3 cryptocurrencies with your credit card or your debit card. What I would do, which is, you find in any financial advice, don't go remortgaging your house. Don't go selling the pet cat or your fast car with the hope that overnight you're going to buy a Lamborghini, because quite frankly, it's not going to happen. So many people fall into traps of thinking this is a very easy get rich quick scheme. If you've got a spare £50, £100 or a couple of $100, absolutely put that money away. Check on it fairly regularly. and you may be surprised after a couple of months if it makes a lot of money. But that's the best way to get into it. Once you're on from that, you may like to invest in the other, what they call altcoins, which are the alternative coins outside the bigger ones. You normally have to pay with the main currencies you've got. So they probably want Ethereum, which is based on the smart contract. So you may have to send money from your Coinbase wallet to a different wallet on using Ethereum, and then buy these alternative coins. So that is a little bit more complex. But again, there is a wealth of information out there where you can do that, and you can basically hold those coins in your wallet.
What do you think that when you're looking at it, if you're a generic business out there,
yep.
and you want to be able to have approach a niche, what type of businesses should be paid in Bitcoin? You know, so if you're walking in and you know, or not Bitcoin, but anything that's crypto, how should somebody go about starting to receive that so that they can pull in people, you know, the first coffee shop to receive cryptocurrencies or that to pull in a niche? How should they go about that?
The biggest market for crypto at the moment is China, and there are more and more marketplaces being able to accept different types of cryptocurrency. I believe in Dubai, you can actually buy property using cryptocurrency, which is actually crazy. So to be honest, the marketplaces to buy and sell this stuff in terms of physical products is very small. You have to essentially convert it back to fiat, which is your bog standard normal currency, before you can do that. However, a lot of people raise money instead of going down an IPO route or instead of a startup investment route by doing what's called an ICO, which is an initial coin offering. So instead of offering shares or going down, you know, an angel route or a seed investment or a crowdfunding route, you could then open up to everyone in the world, essentially, because, you know, of the tax restrictions or not, as the case may be with cryptocurrencies. And you can offer anyone in the world the ability to invest in your startup or your product platform via an ICO. So there are companies out there raising, you know, in some cases, $25, $30, $40 million for their product platforms.
Wow.
So it's an exciting way to do it. However, again, massive caveat here. Again, lots of people think that, you know, if they invest in this product and these coins are initially a couple of cents on the dollar, and then they'll go up 10, 100, 50 times or more. There's a lot of people out there scamming who want to invest in their product, which never exists, and they're running off with all the money. So what I'm very pleased to see is there's a lot more regulation, certainly around the trading and the facilitation and the money raising in this industry. So coming from a financial world where, you know, everything is very heavily regulated, I think a lot of that regulation needs to be in this market, because it is a bit like the Wild West, as we said before, and it does need to have a bit more regulation and a bit more security behind it, so that, you know, if you are paying money into something where people do run off the money, it's at least held maybe in an escrow account until everything's verified and secured. So that's happening now. It's being more legitimized day by day. So, you know, in the future, there will be a lot more security and validity in terms of what you're doing. But I would just say, you know, if you're going to invest in something in the future, don't just throw your money in because Dave on Snapchat or Twitter or you know, Bob on YouTube tells you to. You know,
always research, buyer beware.
Absolutely, and that goes the same for absolutely everything as well. It's certainly not you know, not because you know, this is unique to the crypto world, but again, people are seeing this as a, it does attract its fair share of scammers and dodgy things. So be very careful.
Cool. Okay. So tell me, what's your big ambition? You told me that you have a big ambition with cryptocurrencies, and your email address is a .tv. So it might kind of lead towards that.
Absolutely. So my huge ambition is to have a television channel covering the blockchain and cryptocurrency space. So I essentially want to be the Bloomberg of blockchain, and I'm building this at the moment. So essentially, I want to be everywhere on the internet and give people legitimate business-based news and commentary about what's going on in this space, and the all the regulatory changes in this space. And I don't want to be scammy and I don't want to be dodgy. What I want to do is tell businesses how to legitimately implement blockchain technology. And I want to cover what's going on in the markets, and I want to cover it in a very serious way. So I want to be essentially where Bloomberg is now, where people think that, that's your go-to place for financial news and commentary. I can see the blockchain and these alternative currencies replacing that. And I want to be at the forefront of that space.
That's cool. So besides that, what type of time frame are you looking at for that?
It should be launching this year, but it's going to be a slow burner. Clearly, you're not going to go from zero to world domination overnight, right? You've got to do it gradually. So besides that, what are your goals for 2018 for you and your businesses? Absolutely. Well, I'm launching a mentorship program this year, which is about taking businesses from really, where they are today to try and dominate. It's all about change and making meaningful change. So one of my passions is, I think if we all try and do a little bit, we can all make the world a better place. And my passion is really helping other people realize their dreams and realize their passions. So I've been involved with startups for 10 years. I'm very passionate about helping people and helping startups out. And I've been involved in lots of mentorship programs, and they're almost like classrooms where you go in for 3 months and you're given this kind of cookie cutter approach. So I've designed a 12-month program that will really move the needle and give you the expert help that you need to really up your business and really do better and really start competing in this one world. Because like it or not, the 21st century is here and things are changing. So we really need to be on top of our game and have the best and the best support so that we are ready for whatever is coming, whether that's, alternative currencies or blockchain or IoT or whatever. There may be something new in a few years. Who knows? Golly. Okay. So how about and this is coming from a guy that's very tech, what's your favorite bit of tech right now that you have? Whether it's software, whether it's a reader, whether it's your phone, what's your favorite bit of tech? And maybe if it's just a piece of kit, then what's your favorite app on there right now? Well, I'm an iPhone addict. I absolutely adore my iPhone. I've got the AirPods, which I got recently. Yes. And they're like magic. So, something you work wirelessly. I've tried to move to the iPad. I've tried to become a lot more mobile. I'm trying to embrace being a digital native. And quite frankly, I do 90% of my work on my iPhone. And being able to do things where, we can load up all sorts of apps and things like that. So again, my top technology, maybe a bit corny, but it is my iPhone, which I absolutely. So then what's your favorite app on the iPhone? Then what's my favorite app? It's Snapchat. I love Snapchat. So I do, even though if you're not exactly a Snapchatter and don't see you as that, it's very easy to create content that you can then distribute on other social media. So it's very good at editing video. It's very good with things like face filters. It's great for making the kids laugh, quite frankly, which I was doing today with my kids. And, use it for what it is. If you can put a smile on your face or your kid's face or anybody else's, quite frankly, it's a wonderful day, isn't it? That's cool. Okay. And then how can we figure out or find out more about you? More about me. So I am on Twitter at Eggwhisk. And I would encourage you to ask me what that means because there's a story behind it. Eggwhisk, go ahead. Eggwhisk. Ask me on social. Oh, okay. That's your challenge. That is your challenge. You can find me on www.simonbarry.tv, where you can find my blog and all sorts about me if you want to get in touch with me there. And, cool. Please reach out. I'm mostly on Twitter, so that is probably the best place to reach me. Perfect. And then what is one thing that if you had to go back and tell Simon Barry 10 years ago that you would tell him today that he should know besides invest in Amazon? Buy lots of Bitcoin. No, it's really about confidence. I think when you go back, you can see how the dots connect up. You don't kind of realize how the patterns connect up, and you don't realize that most people who kind of made it, you kind of put these people on a pedestal and you kind of think that, well, they've had it easy. Not only is everyone's story different and unique, one of my favorite quotes is, it takes 10 years to become an overnight success. Yep. So everyone's story is brilliant, but it takes a lot of failure and a lot of hard work and a lot of graft to do it. And one of my things was not going out and trying because I thought it was too hard. And it's not too hard. Don't get me wrong, it does take hard work, but actually going out there and doing and trying and being able to do things is much better. And not only that, when you fall over, you can learn, pick yourself up and carry on. So I would have gone much harder, tried more things, do more experiments, been a bit bolder in what I was doing, because quite frankly, I've had an amazing 10 years, and I probably should have done this a lot earlier. Jumped into the stuff.
That's cool. And we're going to have you up here and you're going to speak at Disruption for us.
I am very, very excited to do so.
That'll be fun. I think we've got Tesla on board now. We've got Uber on board. We've got quite a few things happening. So it'll be lots of fun, man. So it'll be good. And that's in October. So
a day to remember. I have no doubt about that.
Yeah, or a day not to forget, at least. So we'll have fun with that. But no, thank you so much for coming on, Simon.
My pleasure. Take care.
Thanks for joining us on Grow, Sell, and Retire. For more information, tools, or to book one of our team members to work with your team, business, or to speak at your event or conference, visit bartdaltonconsulting.com or email contact@bartdaltonconsulting.com. Buy the book True Gravity on Amazon. If you want to work for the rest of your life, that is your business. If you don't, that is ours.